Hi, everybody. Okay, so we are chapter 3, the first lesson and the second half of it. So first of all, I wanted to have you guys just take the time before you really get into the rest of this video and make sure that you've gone over the pronunciation in the ebook for the following 2 pages. The first one is page 64 with all of the clothing. Okay, I've probably gone through that already with you in class. And then the second one is just the pronunciation for your colors. So if you need to, go ahead and pause the video, go and listen to these first, and then come back to the video. So what we're going to talk about first is the color adjective agreement. So we've already talked about adjectives in general and how your colors, or I'm sorry, how your adjectives will make agreement with your nouns, whether they're masculine or feminine or singular or plural. So I've taken the colors already and I've put them in groups here that explain how it is that we make them from masculine to feminine. So you'll notice here, first of all, that you have your masculine side on the left. The first 4, jaune, orange, rouge, and rose, they already end in an E. When you feminize them, of course, you can't change them because they already ended in an E and I can't add an extra E. So those are pretty straightforward. Then the next group is also pretty straightforward because we know that normally when we feminize something, we just add an E. And that rule, that regular rule, works for bleu, vert, noir, and gris. The pronunciation for these, when you add that final E, may or may not change. So over here on the feminine side, bleu is the same pronunciation as bleu from masculine. The next one, vert, masculine, will turn to verte, feminine. Because of that consonant before the E, now that T will be said. Vert, verte. The next one is noir, masculine. Noir, feminine. The pronunciation here does not change. Gris, masculine. Grise, feminine. So here the S will be pronounced, however, it will sound more like a Z. Gris, grise. Then we have a couple of irregulars. Violet in the masculine. Instead of just adding an E, you'll have to double the T before you add the E. Now the pronunciation is violette. So masculine is violet, violette for feminine. For blanc, it becomes blanche. So it's irregular here. I'm adding an H-E. The C-H for blanche sounds like a sh, whereas the C in the masculine form is completely silent. Blanc, blanche. Finally, we have marron, which remains completely the same in the feminine, marron. I will not add an E to that. And we'll talk about what happens when I want to pluralize something. But the reason for that is that the word marron actually comes from a noun. It means chestnut. And when you use a noun to describe, to act as the color, the agreement will not change. The noun will actually stay the same, just as the singular masculine or however it was originally. So that will not change at all. Now talking about how to pluralize these, okay? So for masculine and feminine, usually what we're doing is we're adding S onto things, and that is exactly what we'll do here. So I will just draw these in real quick. So jaune masculine, I can add an S. Orange, oops, I'm sorry. Got ahead of myself here. The jaune can add an S, okay, on both masculine and feminine. Rouge is the same. Rouge, rouge. Rose, that also works. Bleu and bleu, feminine. Vert and verte. Noir and noir. Gris cannot get an extra S on it, but grise can. Violet can get an S, violette. Blanc with an S, blanche. Marron, like I said, cannot get anything. So you'll notice that I did not do anything with orange. So just as sort of a little star here, orange as well as marron will not make any changes into the between the masculine and feminine, nor going into the plural. And that has everything to do with the fact that these things were originally colors named after nouns. Okay? All right, so what we do when we're using all these colors here is we're using them to describe what we're wearing, right? Because our chapter is about clothing. So we would want to go through our clothing and be able to describe what people are wearing, not only in terms of what is the object, what is the article of clothing, but then also describing the color. For example, if I look at the woman, I would say, elle porte une robe rouge. Elle porte une robe rouge. So let me move down here and remind you of the fact that porter is our regular ER verb for to wear. So regular ER, once again, you take off your ER. For je, it's E. For tu, it's ES. For il, elle, it's I. Nous is ONS. Vous is EZ. And il plural is ENT. So in my example here, I said, elle porte une robe rouge. Notice the word order here, okay? I've got, of course, my subject verb. I've got an article, and I put my noun before my adjective. Normally in English, we put our adjectives before the noun. So I would say, she is wearing a red dress. But in French, the adjective typically will go after. Okay? I want to pay close attention to my adjective here. I want to make sure that it makes sense with une robe. Rouge, it already ends in an E, so I'm not going to have to change it. However, she's also wearing sandals. So I could say, elle porte des sandales, and they're brown. Marron, remember, does not change to be feminine or plural. So sandal marron is just as is. I believe she's also, let's see, what else? Who else wearing something else interesting here? Let's do the little boy here. He's wearing white tennis shoes. So, il porte des tennis, and they're white, so I add blanc. And then I want to make sure to make agreement here. Blanc will get an S because tennis is masculine and also plural. Blanc. Okay? Let me look also at the man here. He looks like he's wearing white socks. Which is, okay, so I'm going to move down here. And I could say, il porte des chaussettes. Blanc is my base. They're feminine objects, so therefore blanche. And he's wearing two. Blanche, because chaussette is feminine and plural. Okay? Of course, we don't have to be doing just il and elle for porter. So what I will have you guys do in class is describe what you are wearing. I will have you describe a couple of other people. I'll pull up some images. So just be ready to do porter and describing clothing and color with your partner for je as well as il and elle. Okay. Moving on a little bit further. Interesting. Why? Okay, I'm sorry about that. So moving on a little bit further to personnalité and physique. Okay, so we've already talked about personality adjectives. So just as a reminder, for example, we said something like il est paresseux, dynamique et drôle. Okay, or maybe we did elle est sérieuse. That's an irregular ending. Sérieuse. Travailleuse et sympa or sympathique. Okay, we needed to make sure, of course, that our adjectives made sense with the personality. So that's the same thing that we're going to be doing with physique. Okay, and by physique, I mean either your height or your weight. Okay, so here we go. We've got words for height. We have grand or grande, which is tall. Petit or petite, which is short. And de taille moyenne, which is medium height. De taille moyenne does not have a masculine or a feminine version. De taille moyenne itself, as the whole expression, works for both. Okay. Also for plurals, we could get an S on there on both grand and petit, but for taille moyenne, it will always stay the same. For weight, we have gros for fat, grosse for feminine fat. If we have feminine and plural, we could do grosse with an ES, but we can't add another S onto just the masculine. So if you have masculine plural, then it's just going to be GROS still. Okay, we have grosse. We have mince, which works both for masculine and feminine, and that is thin. Maigre means skinny, which is kind of like the negative connotation of thin. And let's see what we also have. We have de taille moyenne actually will also work here. Or you can just also go with moyen or moyenne for average, masculine and feminine version. You also have other words that would describe body sort of shape and size. So words like sportif, and the feminine is sportive. So that would be sporty. You might describe the person as muscular. Oops. Musclé. Could get an extra E, could get an S on it. Okay. Or instead of necessarily talking about height and weight, we might just talk about beauty. So here we have beau and belle for handsome and beautiful. We also have laid for ugly, as well as moche, with also an S if you need it, for ugly as well. Okay, so that's for just the actual body physique, and then we want to talk about hair and eye color. So these two words, les cheveux and les yeux. Les cheveux is hair, and les yeux, is eyes. So in the previous thing about talking about your physique and your body, you're still using être. Whereas when you're using cheveux and yeux, when you're talking about hair and eyes, we're going to use a whole different verb here. That new verb is very important. It is avoir. In fact, I'm going to make this bold because it's truly just that important. Avoir means to have. This is how it's conjugated. J'ai, tu as, il, elle a, nous avons, vous avez, ils or elles ont. And you may have noticed there was some little liaison happening here. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. Okay, you may also notice that the S here is silent, as well as avant is silent. On The N is nasally, but the T is silent. Avez, the Z is also silent. Okay, so j'ai, tu as, il a. Nous avons, vous avez, ils ont. You're going to want to absolutely memorize this verb. So let me just star that. Okay, so you remember to have that memorized just like you have être memorized. So we have to use this verb because for hair color and eye color, we have the expression of avoir in order to say that you even have hair or that you have eyes before describing their color. So it would look something like this. Oops. Elle a, so she has hair, les cheveux, and then I'm going to add any of my colors for hair. So colors that I have for hair would be blond. Cheveux is a masculine and a plural word, so I'm going to make agreement here with my adjective based on my noun here. So I need an S. Even though she's a female, her hair is a masculine thing, therefore blond with an S. Maybe she's brunette, brun. Notice that brown hair is different from the word marron. Marron is brown when you're talking about any other objects other than hair. Maybe she has black hair, noir, gray hair, white hair, red hair, red as natural red, roux. Okay, so blond, brun, noir, gris, blanc, roux. Those are your natural hair colors. Of course, you can dye your hair, and so therefore you can use any of those colors from the rainbow from earlier in the lesson. It would be the same thing, of course, if you were talking about il a. Okay. You should also be able to describe what your hair color is. So hopefully if you look back up at avoir and the verb, you would know how to do this for je. Instead of using elle a, it would be j'ai les cheveux. Oops, I can spell it right. And then you fill in the color. You can also describe, instead of just color, you can describe texture. So we have raide, which is straight. Bouclé, which is curly. You can describe length also, so long. Court is short, and mi-long. Okay. Then finally, when talking about eyes, we're going to use that same structure. You're going to use avoir. So here we go. Il or elle a les yeux. These are eyes, and this is a masculine plural word. And I'm going to fill in any of my colors, and of course, once again, it's going to make sense and make agreement with my noun. So I can fill in colors like vert with an S, bleu with an S, noir with an S, marron, notice that there is not any S on that, okay, because marron comes from chestnut. Noisette is hazel, based on the nut, hazelnut, therefore you're not going to get any agreement there as well. You might describe your eyes, as gray, gris. And I think those are the typical natural colors. Okay, of course, once again, you can have context, so we can talk about those artificial colors from the rainbow. Okay, of course, once again, you're going to want to be able to do this not only for il and elle, but also for je. So then you'd say, j'ai les yeux. Oops, that was one too many lines there. and you describe the color. Here's some really great examples from inside of your book for not only talking about physique as well as hair and eye color. So Lise est grande, she's tall, belle et dynamique. Elle a les yeux verts et les cheveux blonds. And they do give here an example of what you would do if you used être here. For hair color, depending on the color, you can sometimes do that, use être, and then you would make agreement with the subject. Next for Léo. Léo a les cheveux noirs. Il est beau et charmant. Charmant means charming. Il est de taille moyenne, average height. Laure est aussi de taille moyenne. Remember that aussi means also. Doesn't mean Australian. Elle a les yeux marrons et les cheveux courts et roux. Elle est rousse. This is an example once again where you're using your adjective and making it agree with your subject because you've used the verb être. So rousse is the feminine form of roux. So synonym here, elle est rousse is like saying elle a les cheveux roux. So when I use être, I make agreement with my subject. When I use avoir, I make agreement with my noun, but not my subject. Okay. Finally, these last couple. Jacques est très sportif. Il est grand. Il a les cheveux longs et châtains. Châtain is like light brown. Tu es très petite et intelligente. Elle a les cheveux noirs et raides. Red, straight. Okay? So in class, I will expect you guys to be able to describe clothing, including color, as well as describing hair and eye color as well, not only for yourself, but also for others. Talk to you guys soon.